Good morning. I think we're live. I think. We always have this thing where we have to wait just a moment just to see if everything catches up, because there's a little bit of a time delay. And then, yes, we are now live. Let me see if I can click into that. Hurrah! Hurrah, hurrah. Now, not a sewing machine in sight this morning. Something a little bit different for you. Yes, we have got Helen McCook here. Hooray! And she brings us beautiful goodies. I mean, gorgeous. There's crewel work. There's all sorts of gold work. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful things. Along with her book as well. We don't actually have a physical copy of your book, do we?
No, I should have brought it.
Yeah, it's all of it. She's being socially distant as we speak, but she is here. We are, I'm going to do very little apart from sit over there and press buttons for a bit. But Helen's going to show you all sorts of different techniques for her stunning, stunning embroidery work. For those of you that don't know Helen McCook, she is, now the best way to describe, I've got myself in trouble here. Hang on, there is a pause. Now, I was trying to think of the best way to, I was thinking high grade, high end, massively accomplished embroiderer. I mean, you know, this lady's embroidered on Kate Middleton's wedding gown. You don't get much better than that, really. Amongst many, many other things, that's just one little thing that, you know, it's one of those high profile things that everybody's heard of, isn't it? Whereas I'm sure there've been other projects that you've gone, actually, this was a bit more da-da. But there we go. So let's get messages in. Any questions that you want for Helen, I can field those this morning. Good morning to you all. Hello, hello, hello. Susan says, happy day. Oops, apologies to the bank account. Yeah, that happens. It's all up on the website. If you are new to us, good morning. You can find all of Helen's goodies at www.natashamakes.com. If you click on Watch Us Live and then scroll down, you will find all of the goodies. Click on View All and they will all come up. Now, I'm going to go over there in a second, like I say. So everybody's joining us. Good morning. Whilst you all join us, let me tell you what's new on the website. I finally got around to putting it up. So the best press, the big bottles of best press, because this is your best value way to get it, are in. I've got the scent free and the linen fresh. The other ones struggling to get in from the States. We've got a few supply issues like that, which leads me, and you get the little thing, although so many of you gone for that's a technical term. Yeah,
I like it.
Thing. Yeah. Although my dog is now terrified of that because we had to do a training session to stop her jumping up, because when an 11-stone Great Dane jumps at you, that's quite a jump. So the dog trainer went, we're just going to get a little bit of water. Just tell her no. And that's it. 2 squirts and she's cured. That's it. Done. Margot no longer jumps, which is fabulous, and the children are safe. Susan's trying some quilting today. Excellent. Hand stitching guru. That's what you are called by June.
I'm adopting that. Thanks for June.
I thought you were going to say you were adopting June.
I might adopt June as well. I mean, yeah.
She's very lovely, June. She lives by the seaside and everything. So it's,
I think the June. I think I know the June you're talking about.
Yes, lovely.
Lovely June. Yes.
Yes, lovely June. Absolutely. Heather says she's just discovered the joys of best press. It's brilliant. Where has it been all of our lives? And you know how much I everywhere. It's still in my bag from Hochanda. My misting bottle, I must get some more of those, means it goes so much further and doesn't clump. Ooh. You know, sometimes you spray something, it just goes in a big clump. This just gently mists it everywhere, so it lasts longer. We have also got the Lint Magnets back in stock. A lot of these have taken so long to come in from the States. And whilst we talk about that sort of thing, what was the other thing I was going to say to you? We have had real problems with some of the K-facet fabrics by the ½ metre coming in. And because they're coming in from America and we keep being told they're on the next shipment, they're on the next plane, then they get held at the airport. So what we're going to do for now is just take our by the ½ metre case down, because I hate letting people down. And once that big shipment that we're waiting for finally comes in, then we'll put everything back up again. But we're just there are certain things that are just, and I don't want to let anybody down. So I think it's best for now if we just I've still got other cave stuff here that I actually physically have here, but this is coming into a warehouse elsewhere that then gets shipped out. So bear with us. I'll let you know as soon as it's back up. But for now, that's what we're going to do because I don't like to let anybody down. Touch of cross stitch while watching the show. That's what Sue's doing.
Nice.
Yes, yes, yes. Last minute kids screaming. I'm here. Claire, yeah. Just as we went to air, mine kicked off. They do know. They do know. Captain Small was not happy this morning. Making face masks for her church congregation. That's what Alison's doing. Lovely. Lovely. And what else? Who else? What else? Morning, says Christine. Looking forward to embroidery. It's my first love in the craft world.
Oh, very good.
Yep, so lots of love there. Tomorrow. Some of you may have seen on Hochanda the very last make I made just as my walking foot collapsed. That was handy, right? Going through a lot of layers. Just sort of disintegrated. That's gone off for repair.
Sounds brutal.
Yeah. Was this little thing. So let me show you this. Oh, everything's changed. There we go. This. So I'm going to be showing how to make this tomorrow. A little bit of EPP into something handy, which we rather love. And there will be a Tim Holtz version, a Tilda version, a Motif version, all sorts of stuff coming your way with that. And also, oh, HP, do you have to make that noise? Do you? Do you have to a bloot whilst we're on air? Yeah. Good. Lovely. Everyone's going to be really thrilled about that. Sorry, the cat's in and she's just having a little wash. Oh, and a little snuffle. Good. Oh yeah, but we... you can make it out of your scrap bags, your leather scrap bags that you guys bought, or I've managed to get the pleather for you. So if you don't want to work with leather, then I've got other options for you, and that is all tomorrow, along with some quilt kits and some build your own quilt kits as well. It's all going on.
That's very exciting.
Well, I know, right? I know. And they're kind of like kids' quilts. They're gorgeous, really gorgeous. In fact, could you chuck, is there anything with sort of giraffes and things down there?
Wow, how exciting.
It could be it. Poor Helen. No, do you know what? Oh, no, it's over on the side there.
Aha.
Yeah, I'll show you what I mean.
Pile here?
Yeah, that little pile there. Thank you very much. So what I'm doing is I've got hold of some of these. Maybe I'll put them up on the website today. And so I look at them. Is this not just possibly the funniest thing you've seen in a long, long while? And I thought this has to be kind of a metre length, because if you want to sash with it, then you need to get that length. Hang on, which way? There we go. Aren't they fun? They're brilliant, aren't they? So you can get yourself like a metre panel of this, and then you can pick which fabrics go with it. So you can either go for these little chaps, and you get a ½ metre of each, and all these colours go, because, you know, we made sure. There's your kind of neutrally tones. Aren't they fabulous?
Oh, it's a zebra.
It's like Madagascar, isn't it? In fabric form.
He's fancy.
He's fancy, yeah. I love it. So you've got that option, that option. The zebra gets better. With some green, which again works beautifully with the panel. I had so much fun with all of these. And then the elephant there with the pink, which we thought was really gorgeous. And then if you're mixing it through, of course, if you're doing it with the panel, hang on, then that pink, whoop, there, goes really nicely with the pig as well. Oh, is it a pig or a hippo? I don't know. Anyway, so that's what I will put up later onto the website, and we'll have a look properly at those tomorrow. Pop them down there. We just had lots of fun this morning, colour matching and stuff. But without further ado, we are still trying to get into our warehouse. The racking finally arrived on Friday, and I haven't had time to put it in yet. So we're still clearing and sorting. So poor Helen just walked into boxes everywhere.
I'm used to it.
It's all good. You were very polite. Right. Oh yeah, I'm going to take this. I'm going to leave the cat there. She might come and join me. I'm going to take this and this, and I'm going to go this way, and then Helen will go that way. Da 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 da. In you go. Oh, where are you going?
I don't know. You said to go that way. I don't know where I'm going. I thought I could go the other way round. This is like an adventure. I feel like it's like Challenge Annika.
There we go. There we go. We're
just
all
having
good.
a little adventure around the front of the desk.
Just. What can I say? There you go. See, there's my head. Just less lycra.
Well, I mean, thankfully, nobody
She
needs to
did look
see
great
that.
in lycra.
I do love a jumpsuit though.
Yeah. Any particular colour jumpsuit?
Green comes to mind.
Oh, green. Wow.
Green.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to explain myself.
You don't need to. You don't need to. I'm thinking yellow. Who was it? Uma Thurman. What was the yellow jumpsuit?
Oh, that was
Kill Bill. Yes.
Yes. Am I giving off that vibe today? Am I? The Kill Bill vibe. It just looks like she should be waving a samurai sword.
I think you could rock a yellow jumpsuit.
I'd give it a good go.
Well, you know.
Game. I'm game for things like that.
No, you know, I like that about you. I like that about you. Never discount anything. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, it's really lovely to be back.
Oh,
It's
there goes
been
the cat.
Hello, kitty cat. Yeah, I mean it's been a long old while, hasn't it?
It has.
Funny times.
We had everything planned, didn't we?
We had a
everything
great
planned.
plan, and then coronavirus
Came along. Kaboom.
Yeah, these things happen though, you know. Hey.
Now I have to say, since we last saw you got engaged, congratulations.
Thank you
That is
very
one
much.
hell of a sparkler.
Yeah, it is sparkly.
Beautiful.
It's I'm not going to do what one of my friends did, which was she actually had a car accident while she was admiring her engagement ring.
Oh no, don't do that.
Because it started to catch the light, and she got distracted like a cat with a light,
Yeah,
with a torch.
Yep.
And then suddenly everything started to go.
A bit wrong.
Everything started to go very wrong because she suddenly realised she was like
Oh.
this while still moving in her car,
Oh,
and
no, don't do
ended up badly for the car.
Oh.
But
But she
yeah,
was okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there was a lesson learnt for everybody there.
Yes. Lesson learned.
But yeah, right.
So Half Pint, you need to come out of the way. She's not been very well, bless her. She's got an immune system disorder, and it just means she's pulling her fur out, so she looks proper raggedy.
I think we all feel like that at the moment. in
Yeah,
lockdown,
maybe
don't
it's
we?
just that she's been on lockdown and
I was
pulling
going to
her
say
fur
it's
out.
the effect of lockdown. To be fair, it's,
Come on, HP.
doing that to everybody.
Come on.
Come on, you.
Come on.
I'm going to step this way. You can
Come
tempt
on.
that way. There
This
you
way.
go.
This way and out. Come on.
I've gained a spaniel now.
Oh yeah. Welcome to my world. We've got another cat, but he's quite happy in the corner.
I do keep joking that I really would like, my ideal thing would to have a petting zoo, which you then come to classes for embroidery.
Perfect.
It's going to be the least stressful place in the world.
It's,
You know, between the petting of small fluffy things and the embroidery, everyone's going to be so chilled.
so chilled, so zen.
Yeah.
Someone's doing yoga with goats.
Yeah, we talked about that last time. We mooted that idea last time.
We
so,
did.
Yeah, I still think that's a goer. Anyway, right, should we do embroidery now?
Shall we? Shall we?
No, we talked
We'll get
craziness.
there.
We'll come back
We'll
to
get
that. I'm
there.
sure.
We've got a few messages. Claire says she loves the cat.
Oh.
Not forget embroidery. HP steals the show again. Sorry.
I know. All you need is a snuffling cat, and that's out the window. You know, never mind the embroidery.
Snuffling bald cat. And lots of congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sarah Snaggy Fairbank Williams says, I love embroidery at home and at work on my big industrial Tagima machine. Do you know what that is? I've no idea.
Very exciting. Yeah.
I draw my own designs and do them in cotton
Very
or
good.
Elizabeth Bradley wools. That's sounding
Oh, can we see some pictures?
Well, yeah, I think you need to share.
Post them on the Facebook.
Share with the
site.
group. Hi, Ellery,
Absolutely.
how are you? And we've had a hello from Lowestoft. We've got people watching from all over the place.
Oh,
I was
good
worried the
morning
other
this
day
morning.
because
Yeah.
Australian April hadn't been on,
Oh.
but it turns out that she's watching on YouTube, so that's okay.
Ah.
And June says yes, a petting zoo and embroidery. Count her in.
There'll be a good option of cake as well.
Yeah.
Because all of these things need cake.
Yeah.
So
Well, we discovered this, didn't we, when we do our sewing retreat in Switzerland?
yes,
we carry
we've
these
got that
things
all
on.
lined up. We've got it teed up already.
So today, Margaret wants to know what kind of green
What kind of green?
for your jumpsuit, like a John Deere tractor
I'm thinking
green.
like, you know, one of that kind of slightly emerald, maybe with
nice.
some blue piping.
Oh wow!
If we're
Oh
going
wow!
to go-
Oh okay.
Proper Annika.
Now you've actually thought about this.
But welcome to my head.
Yeah.
This
Amazing.
this is what I live in.
Gosh.
I share only about 5% of what I think, and that is too much for most people. So
Happy Monday, everyone.
yeah. Sometimes I'm very quiet, and it kind of like it's like if you were in one of those 80s sitcoms, it would do that, and I'd kind of looking into the distance, and you can see it's all going on in here, and I'm just kind of filtering what is okay to say and what's not okay to share.
At least you filter.
And look what happens. I mean, look where we are with the filtering.
It's all good.
Let's not even think what would happen without it.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Now, we have got kits today.
We have, yeah.
All sorts of
Yeah,
kits.
we've got 3 kits, so I'm going
What
to demonstrate on 2
level?
of them.
Okay.
Well, we've got 2 that would be suitable for beginners or improvers.
Should we have a look?
And then one that's a bit more advanced. So
Okay.
we've got
Yeah, go on. Show that onto the
shall
older
I go over
close
here?
up.
There you
Ooh.
go. Ooh, let's get you shuffling round.
Oh, look at
So we've got gold work with surface stitching, so you can see the little sheen on the gold there. So I love that combination of metals with colour. You know, I'm a real colour buff. So,
It is exquisite.
so that one's Poppy. So that's on the website. You can purchase that one already. And so yeah, so anyone, beginners or upwards, if you may just like the design.
Seriously, beginners.
Yeah, do you know
Wow.
what? It's got full instructions. I'm going to do demonstrations. If you look at some of the other demonstrations that I've done on my YouTube, you can see lots of examples of surface stitching on here, and you'll be able to see tutorials on a number of these things. So yeah, I don't see why not.
Because the main body of the petals is French knots.
It's French knots. And
that's okay.
we've done couching. I've done tutorials on couching already, on chips. There's all sorts of things so that you can already see. And as I say, it's got full instructions in the booklet. It's like a mini book, basically.
Now let's talk about your instructions. Have we got those?
Yes.
So this will come as a mini book, basically, won't it?
Yeah. So the format is like a booklet. So it's A4 printed booklet, all glossy. That one I've already got. The other 2 I am
Do you want to just show an example close up? Let's have a little close up example.
So, for example, can you see? Where am I going to? So you can see a really nice clear picture, and then it's got what colour you're using, and it's got the instruction for what stitch you're putting where. There's also, for example, you've got stitch diagrams. So if we can go to the detail picture, you've got stitch diagrams there, lots of those. And each one has an overall picture of the piece plus instructions on what stitch to use where. So trying to shuffle about to the right place. So you're getting...
okay, you really have gone into detail.
Yeah, it's all there. As I say, it couldn't be clearer if I was sitting in your living room with you. But yeah, so all of the kits have...
Well, in fact, you'd probably be talking about jumpsuits or something.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
you
probably get more sense from the kit, to be honest. So, but yeah, so it's got full instructions. It's got all of the details, the you know, what to put where and all that kind of thing. So if we can, so full instructions on there. And then, as I say, you've got
all of these. Do you do all the
Yes.
all the whizzy put this here, arrow bit here?
Yeah.
And, skills.
Because basically what I find, I'm a bit of a Luddite. So I don't think you
a
train
great word.
Well, I don't think you train as a hand embroiderer if you're hugely into technology naturally. But there are certain parts of technology that I've come to really appreciate. So I do love an Apple product because they're quite intuitive. So I kind of sit there and kind of like fiddle about, and because it's all fingers on,
that's
screen,
okay.
then
That works.
I'm kind of like dragging things around and stuff. So yeah, so for me, I kind of sit there. I think it actually makes sense because seeing things from the very start, where you kind of got it in your head, and then seeing it through the making process, and then down to completion, it makes sense to do the whole thing. Because I think I get other people to check what I've written, to check it makes sense as somebody who doesn't know the product. But basically to make sure I've kind of like not just gone snowblind and thought, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense, and other people are going, I don't understand what you're getting at, or you've missed a word here, or so it's one of those things that it's kind of like it's checked for me, but and then it goes to print. But it's just try to make it as complete as possible. So because I do teach, obviously previously I'd done kits that were for classes where I teach what's needed.
Yes.
So what I've started to do now is to work on kits that are obviously retail, which have as much instruction as possible, because there's nothing more frustrating than getting a kit and it promising the world, and then you kind of get it and you're kind of like, oh, I still don't know what's happening. So,
what's going on?
So it should feel, you should have that kid in a sweet shop feel, where you kind of get it and you open it, it's got all the goodies in it, and you're kind of like, what have I got? How can I make this? It looks amazing, and it should feel exciting. So
now your kits, let's talk about your kits, because they are the full shebang.
Yeah, it's got literally everything in it apart from the embroidery hoop and your scissors.
Right.
So
but the needles
are in there. Literally everything. The design is marked onto the fabric already. So can you see? If I shuffle upwards, so you can see that it's printed on, and in the long and short area you can see that the direction lines for your stitching is on there as well.
It's really clear, really comprehensive.
Yeah, it's to try and really take you through it step by step, make it as straightforward as possible.
So you will have a finished product that looks like what's on the picture.
Yes, basically. So, there's obviously an element of practicing. There's extra threads in here as well if people get into a little bit of a pickle at any point and think, well, I need to take that out and reverse stitch. So, or if they want to do a little bit of practicing on the side, there's bits extra. So you can kind of have a go at that.
I have questions.
Yeah, go.
Christine says, what size are the finished motifs?
Oh, let's...
Aha. Handy. Yeah, you knew that would come in handy at some point.
I thought it was for the cat to play with, but I suddenly realised it was. So I'll do it in centimetres and inches. So the poppy is from bottom of the stem to the top is 10.5 centimetres. So that's about 4 inches. And at the widest point from leaf tip to leaf tip, it's just under 8 centimetres, which is about 3 inches.
Okay.
Okay. So
she says that they look a little bit more. Hang on. Oh yeah. Hang on. Down a bit. Down a bit.
What?
Wee. There we go.
So you can see the kind of comparison to my hand, maybe. So see if I don't know which way I'm going.
That way. Yay.
Does that make sense? Well, finally worked that out. So you can see it's kind of like the size of my palm. Wrist to knuckle. And then these are 8-inch frames that I'm working in, just so that you can. That was the other question.
There we go.
Oh, there you go. Preempted. So again, so let's measure this up. So this is kind of A5 size basically. So it's from bottom to top 15 centimetres, which is just under 6 inches, by 11 centimetres, which is kind of 4 1/4 inches.
And that will make, let's see what that will make.
So that will make, let's see if I can, it's very
love
confusing,
that.
I'm shuffling around. So this one's called Miami Deco, and it was inspired by the Art Deco movement and the very bright and vibrant colours in Miami. So how they kind of looked at combining the architectural details that you saw in the 1930s panels that were on the buildings.
They're gorgeous,
and then
aren't
that
they?
really kind of bright, fresh colourway that is so kind of evocative with that area. So,
lovely.
And then we've also got.
Now this is the big boy.
This is the daddy. So
yeah.
so if I turn that around so you can see it, You can see it's to make a good traditional size cushion. So
hang on, let's spin that. If you just spin that around, I mean that is a
step
just
away
for
a
the
little
detailing
bit,
and that. Oh, where are we going?
I don't know. I'm going this way. It's so confusing. It's my left and right.
It's always the opposite way to where you think.
So
I've been doing this for months, still get it wrong.
But can you see it's a repeat pattern 4 ways? So it's crewel work, not Jacobean.
Oh, hang on, there's a bee.
Yeah, there's little bees in the 4 corners of the bows. And then you've got these little sprays. So it's called bows and sprigs. So it's...
And then if you show us to the front,
yeah,
then we can get the... It's a big cushion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want a piddly cushion.
No.
I want a cushion that's a proper cushion. That's what it says on the tin. You want to sink into it.
Yeah.
So if I just... So with this one, you get the panel. So you could, in fact, make it into a cushion. You could make it into the centre of a quilt. You could make it into a wall hanging. I know because you have a number of quilters that watch you. So that would be quite a good way. Maybe you'd like to colour match up some fabrics to go with that if people want to do that.
Yes, yes, I can.
But put a pack together. So if we're measuring, I think the fabric is around, let's have a look. Obviously because it's smaller because I've made it into a cushion, but it's about 21 inches, which is about 53 centimetres, and it's kind of pretty much square. Nice. So and again it comes printed on onto the fabric, and obviously it's a really lovely colourway. If you are making it into a cushion, you can put any fabric you like. I'd put kind of
the blue
purple,
velvet on the back.
Velvet on the back. So but you could pick up any of those colourways in it.
And what was the inspiration behind that one?
Do you know what? It was just that I was sat designing one day, and it was, I really love flowers in my house, and I really love to have flowers, like fresh flowers in my house, and I was just sat drawing up. I trained as a printer and dyer originally, so I think quite often in repeat pattern. Right. So so I was kind of playing with motifs and then thinking about what happens when we kind of mirror or kind of work them around in a kind of square.
And that happened.
And then that happened. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I'd kind of been looking at traditional Jacobean and kind of tree of life, and then I'd been also looking at some kind of Rococo designs, which was where the bows came from. So I kind of think Marie Antoinette kind of.
Yes,
thing.
let them eat cake.
Yeah.
Keeps coming back to cake.
I know, it's all just six points of separation, isn't it? Or less, preferably. But yeah, so I mean, it's one of those that it kind of came out of doodling, really. I kind of quite often I'll be kind of looking at different design sources for different projects, and then they'll kind of be residual imagery in your head, and they kind of just come on the page and you start to play with
Gorgeous.
that.
Sarah Payne Quilter says, I would love that as a panel in the centre of a quilt.
Do you know what? And it's because it's very durable. It's the
would
linen
that be
twill.
okay? It would.
Do you know what it is? It would be okay because it's linen twill, so it's a really lovely heavyweight fabric, and it's crewel work, crewel wool, so it's a 2-ply twisted wool with quite a long staple fibre. So
and you're very fussy about where you get that from.
I am. They're British products, so it's Scottish linen twill and it's English. It's Appleton's wool, and it's a traditional. They're both traditional companies, and they've been the wool. Basically, it was the original company that William Morris used originally.
Yeah.
Before he started his own dye factory and thought, I'll cut out the middleman. And,
sneaky.
We all do it. And and being a polymath, he was just into everything, wasn't he? So he was like, okay, I've mastered this. Let's do dyeing now. So it's just they're just really good legacy textiles. They're made to last. They're durable. And these were always meant for domestic, this type of mixture of combination of fabric and thread were made for domestic settings. So they're meant to be lived with.
So they're not going to fade or run or anything like that?
If they fade, they'll fade in their colour family. So they'll become a slightly softer, more muted version of themselves. But the design will still balance because they'll just be... They balance now, so if they fade, they'll fade evenly and they'll fade...
I guess the thing is, when you go to stately homes... And you see everything. You don't.
If you think about the bed
takes
hangings and the wall
hundreds
hangings,
of years.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's with old dyeing techniques, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, they're not dying. I mean, they are alive, and people like myself, and I've got a lot of friends and colleagues that kind of spend a lot of time putting those skills out there and showing those skills, and online is a brilliant medium to do that. I mean, examples like, you know, coming to see you today. It gets people to the idea that actually is relevant to them, and it is something they can do, and it is enjoyable. And as I say, the amount of people who've been contacting me, particularly during the lockdown period, going, actually, I don't have a hobby. I've just realised I don't have a hobby. Can you? Have you got any beginners things? Can we do things? So yeah, it's really important for people to see the relevance of it. And I think actually one of the things that have come out of lockdown is that people are kind of going, oh, hang on a second, I've just realised all my hobbies are outside the house, or they're in teams, or I don't have a hobby.
Or don't have because you're too busy working.
Yeah, life has got in the way and kind of eroded all the other things that they might have been interested in previously. So these things happen, and then suddenly they're kind of like wanting something that they can do in their homes. It's going to take a while, they can get immersed in it, and it's, you know, it's been used as a therapy for years as well. Maybe you know, for the purpose of home stitching, it's obviously not like therapizing, you know, in a group. It's just has that calmness that kind of comes up through it. The repetition kind of puts you in the zone.
Yeah, no, it's lovely, absolutely beautiful. So I would like to know, can you do that on an embroidery frame instead of a hoop?
Yes, yeah, you could use, there's all sorts of frames, so Millennium, Roller, Slate, so there's lots of different larger scale frames that you could use. I mean, you could do this in a hoop because you can move it around, and it is quite durable.
Yeah, bring it into the centre for me so we can have another good look.
Yeah, and it is quite durable, as I say, but and it's got, if we do a detail on the little picture, if we can kind of do a side detail, if we can do it.
Hang on, yeah,
and it means that you'll see some of the texture that's in it as well. So, and being wool, it's textural, so it's pleasing, but it's also...
Sorry, I chose now to time out. Bear with me. I'm just getting there. There we go.
I'm just jumping ahead. So can you see how raised these berries are, for example?
Oh, yeah.
You know, and they're like whipped wheels and French knots and woven wheels. So there's a lot of the smooth areas with the long and short and the satin stitch, but there's also texture in here, which it's not going to make it uncomfortable to sit on. It's not going to really catch on things, but it does just create that interest as well. So it's just really, it always remind me of ice gems. They're really pleasing, or little sea anemones or something. Going back to food, aren't we?
But you have to have the whole packet. Whilst you're there, we have had quite a few people saying, please can they see your ring?
Oh, yeah. Hello.
There you go. Perfect.
So, yeah, it's a little, we're in a theme today, so it's a little Art Deco diamond.
Beautiful.
Cluster.
Beautiful.
So, thank you very much.
Christine says that embroidery is easy to take on your travels too.
Yeah, I travel all the time. Obviously not whilst lockdown's on, but normally I'm out and about all the time, all over the place, teaching and kind of working all over the country and abroad. And
well, you managed to get home on the last flight, didn't you?
Yeah, the second to last flight out of Madeira. I had a lovely trip teaching embroidery to an amazing group of ladies, and we were kind of looking at the plane schedules, kind of like at the back of the brain going, are we going to get home? But it was
just stay here and stitch.
I have to say, we had a lovely time stitching all together in lockdown in the hotel, and yeah, I mean, it was obviously a strange situation, but a lovely situation. And then I had the quickest journey back from Gatwick I've ever had on a Friday rush hour.
Yeah.
So
unheard of.
I was like, this lockdown's not too bad. And then obviously proper lockdown happened, and I was like, oh. So mind you, it's been an opportunity to sit and stitch, to design, to be creative. So
Christine says that her embroidery has been down the Peruvian Amazon and travelled India amongst other places.
Very good.
I mean, you take it where you go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm notorious for sitting and stitching on public transport as well. So I never forget, I was on a plane once going to Dubai, and I was sat with my ring frame sitting stitching, and I always would book, because I'm normally right-handed, I would book to have a left-hand window seat.
Okay.
So that I could have the light and nobody was going to be bumping about with me. So, and I was sat stitching very happily, you know, the quietest person on the plane basically, just very self-occupied. And the air hostesses kept coming past and kind of doing this at me. And then one came down and went, do you mind if I take a photograph? Because that's one of the oddest things I've ever seen on a plane. And I was like, this is the oddest thing you've seen on a plane. Okay. So, but yeah, and it's like you have people like stitch on trains as well, and coaches and all sorts of things. And
I find it's a conversation starter.
well, it is, but then when people kind of they do the side eye thing, and they're trying to pretend they're not looking, because we're Brits and we don't do that nosiness, you know.
Yeah.
We do, but just not obviously. And then that turns into that, and then it's when they start to lean on you, on you're working on, to get closer to what you're doing, and you're like, I don't mind you looking, ask questions, but can you lean off so I can stitch? I can show you nothing without that.
Well, we should probably stitch then, shouldn't we?
I know, that would be good, yeah. So, right, what I thought I'd do is I thought I'd show you some padding techniques for popping for the design, because underneath the central section here is some craft felt padding, and then underneath the stem is some soft string padding. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to show you those techniques, because I know that normally we would be showing the sparkly, glittery, exciting things, and
which we love,
which of course is amazing. But equally, you do want to know how to do the foundation level. So what we're going to do is trim around the craft felt, and I'm literally just trimming down on the line.
And this all comes in the kit?
Yeah, it's all in the kit. Everything's in the kit, and it's all marked on in the kit as well. So
oh wow, you don't even have to trace around anything?
No.
Oh,
no faffing about whatsoever. You are good to go.
These are all available at www.natashamakes.com. You can find them underneath where you can watch live, or you can put in the search thing Helen McCook, and they will come up along with your book, Helen McCook's book, as I like to call it.
It makes me laugh because there's another lady who does cookbooks, and her cookbook is called the Helen McCookery book.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, it made me laugh. So, considering it's quite an unusual name, I was like, well, I didn't see that coming. So, what we're going to do is basically, there's a bit of movement in this shape. That's absolutely fine. It will do what we need. Single strand of the single strand of the machine thread. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply this on, coming up in the brown fabric and going down into the felt. I'm stitching around probably about a centimetre distance to apply it into the shape that I need, because if you start stitching intensely in one area, it will end up shifting out of position.
Right.
So I'm just stitching all the way around.
And is this just a running stitch?
It's a stab stitch, so I'm just coming up in the brown fabric, the base fabric, and then just stabbing down just into the very edge of the, about a millimetre into the edge of the felt.
Right.
So you just get a tiny little holding stitch. So just holding that into position all the way around.
I wonder if we can just twist that ever so slightly.
Twist it this way.
Yeah. Oh,
is that better?
That would be phenomenal.
Marvellous.
Christine would like to know what type of hoop and stand you're using.
I'm using a barrel clamp, which it's clamped to the table. So when I stop doing the demonstration on this, I'll take it off and show you. And the ring frames have got a dowel. So fine, there you go.
Oh.
So the ring frame has a dowel in it that goes into the in this case the barrel clamp.
Yeah.
But you can also get seat frames that you can pop under your leg.
Yes.
I have one of those in my bag. But so once you've gone all the way round, you're then going to want to stitch at kind of every 2 to 3 millimeters, because the idea is that we've fixed it into position, and then what we want to do is to make sure the edge is fully flattened to the fabric, fully adhered to the fabric.
Right.
What we don't want to do is to make it look like it's frilled at the edge. It shouldn't look like a Cornish pasty.
Oh,
Does that make sense?
pasties, yeah.
So what I'm going to do is do another revolution where I'm going round and stitching all the way around the edge at 2 to 3 millimeters, making sure that the edge is nice and flat to the fabric.
Perfect. Amanda says the brown fabric reminds her of chocolate. It is very rich, isn't it? Really rich looking.
It's a lovely combination with the colours as well, because the red and the green really pop on the brown. The brown.
What is it? A silk that it is that you're.
This is a taffeta.
Into? Oh, okay.
And it's actually works really well. So you can use silk, you can use the taffetas, but they just work really nicely with the golds.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So with the metals, so it just has a really good feel, and they don't run when you put your needles into them.
Right.
So some fabrics create like little ladders where if you may potentially catch one of the fibres, it runs, whereas that doesn't happen. And particularly when you're plunging some of the ends of the metal through the fabric, you'll end up with little stressed points in your fabric. So
now Heather would like to know if you need to cover your frame before placing it on the frame.
No, I've been naughty and not covered the frame. This is exactly how they come to you. Right. But for the longevity of stitching at home, the best thing to do is to get some cotton strip, like a tape, or bias binding. Right. And the easiest way to do it is to actually put double-sided sticky tape on the outside of the outer ring and the inside of the inner ring. So not the bits that are kind of going to shuffle together. So outside of the outer ring, inside of the inner ring, and then to leave a little bit of tape extra at the end. Wrap so that your tape overlaps all the way around, and then just get a needle and thread and just adhere them, fasten them off at the ends.
Oh, clever.
And it basically helps to hold your tension better, and it also stops your fabric bruising in the frame as easily. Right. Creating a big ring shape. So if you leave it in there for a long time, it's going to have a ring shape, and you can press that out carefully. But it just stops it, just, kind of gives it a bit of a cushioning.
Now,
so keeps it clean.
So I think it's Sue wanted to know, how long does it take to do the cushion for a not particularly fast sewer? I know it's a bit how long is a piece of string.
Yeah, it is how long is a piece of string. To me, the way that I would tackle it is actually once you've learnt one stitch on there, once you've done your first stitch on there, I'd do all of the sections of that stitch.
So you instantly get...
Yes, because you pick up speed with familiarity. Yes. So basically I'd then tackle all those sections and then move on to the next stitch. So it means that it's something you can then sit and do because you become familiar. You can sit and do, say, doing something else, talking to somebody, or, on a Zoom call, or, watching television. So audio book. So, but I know that can be a little bit boring for people. But I mean, I think something like this, it's going to last past you, your children, your children's children. So it kind of, if you've got a time deadline,
this might not be the project
I'd question that you put yourself under that pressure. Maybe make it, for somebody's birthday, for example, make it next year's birthday. Yeah. But, because it's not going to be super speedy. But having said that, it's woolen threads, so they're not super fine. So they do build in quite nicely at a speed. And as I say, once you've built your confidence doing one, there is repetition 4 times. Yes. So for me, I would tackle it rather than doing a bit here and a bit there, where you're kind of jumping from technique to technique. I'd do one technique across the whole thing, get that signed off, next technique, get it signed off. So for me, that's the speediest way of getting through it. So.
Perfect. I love that you sign them off.
Yeah. Sounds very official, doesn't it?
It does, it's good.
So,
Chrissy says she loves the way that your little finger draws the thread through.
Yeah, do you know what? It's a habit that I've picked up, and it helps me tension the thread. Okay. So because we're using all the different parts of the hands and both hands, you put your dominant hand underneath, and then I use that. I do it on the bottom as well. I do it on both hands. I know that friends of my partners, we've been to dinner previously, and they've kind of said, you're going to put that to use, like when it sticks out while you're holding a knife or whatever. And I don't realise I'm doing it, and I'm like, actually, it has got a use.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just not whilst I'm eating. So yeah.
But you'd be fine having tea with the Queen.
Yeah. So you can see I'm working around this shape. It's getting flattened down. You'd work all the way round and back to yourself, and then what you could do is you do a little back stitch down the central lines to segment off the different parts. Doesn't have to be a tiny stitch. So all you do is you come up away from yourself and go down into the shirred hole, and it just creates a lovely segmented line where it just sinks, that stitching will sink into the felt and really drag it down to the base fabric. And it just makes it nice and easy, because we're going to put pearl on those edges all the way around.
Now Lynn would like to know if you've used double-ended needles when sewing.
No, I've used all sorts of needles. I've used you know, like leather needles and straw needles and all sorts of things, but the double-ended needles I don't get on with. And I like to orient, and actually one of the things, if you look, I use the central finger here, the middle finger, to push, and if you've got a sharp end on that, it's going to really hurt. I find for the precision of my stitching, I prefer the needle that's best suited to the job. And then I prefer a traditional one-ended needle.
Okay.
Personally,
I use a thimble pad and the thimble and the grippets and stuff like that to pull the needles through.
Yes, yeah. I mean, so some people, traditionally I was always taught to use a thimble, so we'd wear thimbles on the middle fingers.
But you've got very slim fingers, whereas I've got
children's children's fingers. Yeah, they're long and slender. But yeah, the thing is, actually, for me, the rule used to be that if you're doing embroidery, you wear a thimble. But for me, I find that they get in the way and they make my fingers sweat. I have quite cool hands anyway. They're like pastry maker's hands. But I don't. They just feel moist underneath the metal thimble. So there's particular things that I will use the thimble for. So if I'm going through a lot of padding or a lot of layering, if I'm going through leather or things like that, I will use the needle. If I'm using very, very small, fine needles, you know, some of the types of silk shading that I do, I'll use, say, a size 12 needle, for example. Over time, if you're building up through an area, that can create a tender patch. So things like the little thimble patches, they can be quite useful.
And the under thimbles and all those sorts of things.
Yeah, and also if you find that you've got, you know, arthritic hands, the grippets can be quite good, because it means that you need less force to pull that needle through. So it actually makes it far kinder to your hands.
I think I've got some in stock. I don't know if Emma will, if Emma's watching, she'll put that on the page underneath. I hadn't thought about all of that. But yeah, absolutely, all those sorts of things. And I will get more stock of the thimble pads for people as well.
So what I thought I'd do next is to show you the soft string padding. So this is the soft string. It looks like bump. It's like cotton, soft cotton basically. And I'm using you've got 5 meters in your pack. I'm using the yellow because obviously we're putting it underneath gold. And what I'm going to do is I'm just getting one end of that, and I've got beeswax, which you've got in your pack as well, and I'm running it through.
Beeswax is in there as well?
Yeah.
Nice.
Everything you need apart from the hoop and the scissors. So we use beeswax with metal, and we've used it for centuries with metal, and it's a lovely product. Now I use 100% pure beeswax, and because some of the waxes that you can get are mixed with paraffin wax and other things, and it makes them go chalky and leaves a residue across your work. If you have tiny bits of this wax, if you see tiny little bits of wax from this product on your piece of work, don't kind of rub at it, just get your needle point or a pinpoint and just lift it off the fabric.
Okay, top tips.
And it will just stop it graining in. But yeah, it doesn't tend to be as chalky. So I'm just working the full length of this, because what we're going to do is we're going to sculpt. So I'm kind of running it 3 times. And you can see I wanted to show you this process. Whilst it's slightly boring for you to see, I'm sure. But I wanted to show you because people don't wax their thread, the soft string, enough.
Oh, so it should really take on a texture.
Yeah, it should become much narrower.
Right.
And you should feel the coating on it. Okay. It should feel harder because it's obviously got that coating, so it's kind of compacted. And basically, if you haven't coated it sufficiently, you're going to struggle to get lovely tapered points.
Right.
And you'll have little fuzzy, fluffy bits sticking out between your gold potentially.
So this is getting that proper,
Yeah.
that proper...
It's, with the padding on your gold work, it's a little bit like building a house. The foundations need to be right. If your foundations are not right, your house is never going to stand properly. So, and with the metal, it's exactly the same. You need to take your time to put your foundations in, and you do that first. And it's, as you've got your order of work anyway, but you put that in first, then it's already there, and then you can go on to the exciting things.
Yay.
But yeah, I just wanted to show you the process. So, and as I say, 5 meters sounds like a lot, but it uses more than you think it will. So I've just waxed that whole length.
Do you want to see that close up, everybody? Let's just... There you go.
So it's just a lot. If there's any chunks on it, basically, once you've waxed the whole thing, just run it through your fingers. So just run the whole length through your fingers, just to get any chunks off. I mean, I don't know if you can hear this.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Is it like waxing a surfboard? Oh, she says, having never waxed a surfboard.
I love the fact that you think I might know about waxing.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's another thing that you could do in some lycra. So
I don't
or a wetsuit-based thing.
I think the surfboard wax is called sex wax.
Yeah, I think you could be right.
I don't know why I know that.
I can't
Never been on a surfboard in my life. I've done that paddle boarding where you look like Gandalf and you stand there and you've got your paddleboard. You get up there and you're really pleased with yourself, and then you stand on the board and it's longer and slightly wider, and then
Did
you
you
stand.
manage it?
Yeah, I loved it.
Oh wow!
And I was very clumsy as a child, so I went to ballet classes for a long time to be able to balance without falling over my own feet. And then so it came in very useful for paddleboarding. And then you stand there like Gandalf and you're doing that "thou shalt not pass" thing.
Yeah.
Because I am a geek.
Yeah.
Fully self-certified geek. But the and you kind of feel really pleased with yourself, and then you kind of like, you're doing absolutely fine. But I thought, I don't know why, I thought I could do that thing where I could ride it back to the beach, and it was going beautifully.
Oh.
Going beautifully until we got really close to the beach.
Yeah.
At which point it was just like, whoop, and I was like, poof, on my back.
So basically, the bit where people from the beach can see you.
It was mortifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good entertainment for everybody who saw it, but yeah. It
was
was
beautiful.
Not ideal. So what we're going to do is, if we come back to, yeah, there you go. I'm going to allow like an inch extra at the top. I'm going to walk it down the shape and allow an inch extra at the bottom.
Okay.
Okay, that's going to become my marker. So I'm just going to snip through that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to...
How much did you wax? How much of it did you wax?
The whole length.
Oh, okay.
Because it's easier to do that because you'll use more than you think you will.
Right.
And it's not until now that we're measuring what we're using.
So it all needs waxing anyway.
And the thing is, even if you want the spare bit to practice with, if you measure off what you need and then you've got a spare bit to practice, you need it waxed anyway.
Okay. So just wax it.
So you may as well just wax the whole lot rather than ending up in a pickle because you haven't waxed bits and you're not sure which is waxed and which isn't.
There's going to be a lot of waxing happening after lockdown, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Right, so what we're going to do is... yeah.
There's an image.
There's, yeah. God bless those beauticians.
I know, how we miss them.
Oh, wild man of Borneo. Please deal with this. Anyway, right, getting back to subject. So you can't, by laying it on, you can't tell what you've got. So you can't tell whether this is enough or too little. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a good twist. Okay. Because that replicates what you're going to get when you stitch the piece down. So if I move my hand out of the way, can you see that you can see? Now that isn't enough to meet both design lines, one on either side. So what I want to do is to be able to meet those design lines with my soft string. So that means I need to untwist it and keep going. So you add more. So it's quite therapeutic, to be honest. Just like,
yeah, just adding on. And when you say you're adding on, you're just winding it up and
literally using
through.
my marker to just keep winding round to about the same
Can
length.
you just lower your hand a little bit so we can see it on that?
Yep.
There we go.
There you go. So Okay, so I'm going to measure that again. So
twist, twist, twist.
Twist it. And that's lovely. It meets both paint lines now. So that's going to be a lovely amount. So I'm going to now cut through the extra. So I'd say I've probably used probably about 3 meters. Yeah, I've used 3 meters and you've got 2 meters extra.
Oh, nice. There's plenty,
Yeah,
plenty.
yeah, there's plenty to play with.
Cool.
Right, so what I'm going to do is untwist, and then we're going to snip through all of those looped ends.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Just on the one end?
No, both ends.
Okay, yeah.
We don't want the loops in, it just makes it easier to sculpt with them.
Okay.
When I say sculpt, it sounds terrifying, but it's actually really straightforward, you'll see. So I'm just making
I didn't
sure.
question it this morning. You you said you were sculpting with stuff. I was like, okay.
Yes, like, we'll just let her do her thing.
Yeah. You're quite good at it. So
It's
we'll
amazing the
we'll
amount
let
of
you
people who just
carry
say
on.
that. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm trusting you to just get on with it.
But it's all good.
It's all good in the hood. So what we're going to do is I've put a double length of waxed machine thread. Now we use single for the felt, and I'm going to use double for the sculpting for the soft string. Okay, so I've started it off with a knot and 2 stitches, and then cut the knot off in this section here because I know I'm covering it up. So start within the stem, and then I'm going to position my soft string, which as you can see they're not twisted together, they're completely separate, and I've come up on the paint line on one side and I'm going down parallel on the other side.
Why don't you twist it?
Because those twists will never be even, and they'll also transfer into what you're seeing above when we put the gold over the top. So if I just bring the gold in over here, this gold is very soft and malleable.
It's beautiful.
And it will sit on top of the form that you've put underneath.
Right.
So it will be guided by that shape.
Right.
So if I've got twists and lumps and bumps, it's not going to be as smooth, and therefore when I'm trying to measure out my gold, it's going to be uneven.
Right.
So it makes it harder.
Amazing.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work towards one end. I'm going to put a stitch in at about 1 centimetre distance from the first one.
And that's just your machine thread that you're...
Yep, it's just the machine thread that you get in the pack. And then what you're going to do is I've tried to pull those stitches to the same kind of tension. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put stitches in at kind of the halfway point. I don't want to entirely cover this soft string. I just want to basically make sure that it's even. So it doesn't look like, I was come back to food analogies, it's not supposed to look like a leg of lamb with the rope round it.
Wow, okay.
Okay, what you want is a lovely smooth line.
Like a sausage.
Yes, so like a sausage, exactly. So if you've basically put a stitch over and held the soft string down to the fabric, it's going to dip slightly.
Right.
So what you shouldn't see is this. It should be a lovely smooth, like, so from the side it should look smooth, and from the top it shouldn't look like that, it should look smooth as well.
Okay.
So you're wanting to just put in sufficient stitches to make sure that you've got a lovely smooth finish.
And are you not pulling it too tight as well, or do you?
I'm pulling till it resists.
Okay.
So because I don't want to just stitch it to within an inch of its life, but I don't want it loose, so it has a job to do. So I'm basically making sure, so I put a stitch in at the halfway point, and then I'm putting one either side of that at the halfway point between the initial stitches. So that centimetre area has got 5 stitches in it.
Okay.
Okay, and that's sufficient.
So every
so
couple of millimetres, basically.
Yeah, about every kind of 2 to 3 mil. But by doing it this way, it's easier to maintain the tension. So because you put one in one end and one the other end, and then you put it in the middle, and then enough stitches. If I still thought that there was a lump in the middle, I'd put an extra stitch in.
Right.
To just smooth it. So it's just a case of putting in what you need, but without overkilling, you know.
Judy says that she loves watching you. She's recently done a 2-day course on gold work, which she really enjoyed.
Very
nice. Get back
nice.
to it as soon as you finish the scrubs.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Doing a good job. Yeah, it is. People get a bit put off by gold work because they think it's very complicated, and actually, or very difficult. And in reality, it's that there's different types of metal thread, and they're designed for different purposes, and if you use them for the purpose they're designed for, it's actually very straightforward.
Right tools for the job.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, and as I say, it's the padding stage makes a big difference to the end product.
So it's worth taking this time to get it absolutely right.
Yeah, you're going to do it first anyway.
I always think that embroidery is like the best value for money, because if you're talking pounds per minute, you're getting great value for money.
Exactly.
And it looks stunning at the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, and also it's really funny because I know a lot of embroiderers are super critical about their own work. And they'll be like, oh, well, I made a mistake here and I made a mistake there. But anybody else who looks at it, because we get sucked into it, into super high definition detail. But also, everybody else is just so impressed with what you do.
You know, you're spending all your time comparing it to your work. Now,
yes.
I don't care what anybody else says. The first time that I do gold work, it is not going to look exactly like yours, nor, quite frankly, should it, given how many years training and expertise. Either I'm amazing or you're not quite as good as we think you are.
Well,
and neither of those things are true. So,
I think,
you know, you'll have your own take on it, and that's the personalisation.
I think it's that thing about, I always think embroidery is a bit like handwriting. So I always think if you...
Well, that's a nice way of thinking about it.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's one of those things that with embroidery, I can teach you the A, the B, the C, but the slant that you put on it, the length of your stitch, the kind of tension you put it under will slightly be different for each person. So it's your own handwriting comes out. And I always say there's a bracket of rightness. Like, grammatically, it's not very good, but
I'm with you.
It gives you the gist.
Yep.
So there's a bracket within which it's right, and it's your work and it's suited to you. So I think it's a really beautiful thing in that sense. There's that you can find yourself in it, and be comfortable with yourself, with your stitching. So in that sense, that there may be, you know, X amount of poppies being made out there, but each one will have their slight handprint of their maker.
As each poppy is different out there.
See,
That's the other
it's beautiful.
thing.
The diversity of it is beautiful.
It's gorgeous. And Elizabeth would like to know, was anyone surprised when you told your family and friends that you were going to do embroidery? She says, don't take this wrong, but you're not sort of the stereotypical, quiet, reserved type one might expect.
I think a common comment was, will she be able to sit still long enough? Which, you know, fair enough. But I think... Yes, I think everybody was a bit surprised by it. It wasn't that I hadn't stitched really as a child. I'd done a little bit of cross stitch and things with my mom, but you know, my grandma was an amazing dressmaker. You know, she could make a paper patterns out of newspaper and just whip something up. And I'd always been surrounded by these amazingly creative people, but that wouldn't actually class themselves potentially as that.
Yeah.
You know, because they were just, you know, this is just something I do.
Yeah.
But I didn't think I knew any embroiderers. And when I was doing my degree, I pulled out a brochure in the careers library, and a brochure for the RSN dropped on my feet, and I picked it up and just thought, wow,
that's the one.
Never heard of this place. Like, it's like a little secret society that's doing these amazing things. And I just thought, I don't know what it's going to take to do it, but I really want to do it.
Have you always been a high achiever?
Yeah.
Okay. I can see that. It's just like whatever you do, you're going to do to the absolute
to the end
best.
It's one of those things. I'm like a light switch. I'm interested or disinterested.
Okay.
And you can't make me be interested if I'm not interested.
I bet teachers loved you.
Horse that just like no. But no, I mean, academic. I'm curious. I love to learn. I love to learn. But I know
if there's that lesson.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one of those things that you kind of like, it's to find the thing that makes you interested.
Yes.
And I think a good teacher can do that with anything.
Yes.
You know, and they'll kind of look at what that student needs. And I think I was blessed to have some amazing teachers. And to be fair, I mean, within embroidery particularly, I've been blessed because people are so generous with their knowledge in textiles. We all want to share.
But that's the thing across the whole soft craft that I found is how generous people are.
Such a generous environment with the knowledge.
Yeah.
It's that shared knowledge, and you know that you've been given amazing advice and information, and you've learnt so much. And every time I teach a class, I'll see a stitch done in a different way that somebody goes, oh, that's not how I normally do it. This is how I was taught, and you have that conversation, and it's just a constant
process.
process.
Can that be a regional thing as to how they've learned?
It can be regional. It can be cultural. It can be individual, you know, tweaks by somebody else. Like, oh, I don't like to do it like that. Or it could be even, you know, so left-handed to right-handed. So I teach both because I'm ambi. So, but it's such a lovely thing because of that. And I think I come from quite a competitive family. So whatever we do it. So it's you know, there's no putty medal. You know what I mean? It's you either do it, go hard or go home.
Oh yeah, go big or go home. That's fair enough. Absolutely fair enough.
Yeah. So yeah, people were surprised, but yeah, it's worked well so far.
Oh,
right,
perfect.
I've got to the end of this shape now, and
yep.
I want to make a taper. So what we do, if we cut from the top, we're going to end up with a step appearing. So you'll see a drop in the surface, so which is what we don't want. So I want to rapidly cut away from underneath. So I'm not pulling it because I can pull it out because it's only held in with these, but I'm just pulling it backwards so that I can get some of these out of the way pronto. Because by the time I'm about a millimetre from the end of the point, I only want 3 threads left. I want the far left, the far right and the top centre.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to cut.
Wow, that's very specific.
It is, and it's going to give you a beautiful point. So we repeat this at the other end. So I'm going to show you how to fork the soft string at the other end. So you can see I've got the centre underneath. I'm putting the point of my scissors towards the point of the shape, and I'm cutting through. Just make sure you've got nice sharp scissors for this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring those threads back over, pinch, and can you see how it's all holding together? That's the wax.
That's the wax, yeah.
So it sculpts. Okay, so then I'm going to stitch, put a stitch in to hold that down. And now I'm easing my way towards that point, so I'm going to cut away a little bit more. So I'm going to bring my needle up, bring it back, and I want to cut away everything but the top centre. So I'm going to identify that one. Okay, give that a little press. Far left and far right. So I'm going to give that a little press. Sometimes they manoeuvre around and you think, oh, it could be this one or it could be that one. Just choose one.
Okay, so it doesn't.
No.
Okay.
So be bold. And then point to the point.
Point to the point. Oh, I like that. I can remember that.
Good catch.
Tim said he loves the end result but lacks the patience.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody, but it does suck you in. So if you've tried it, if you try it, you'll kind of be like, oh. And the other thing is this padding's really good for if you want to put beadwork over the top as well,
nice.
sculpt with beads.
Oh.
So
you see, Susan says that she uses it to relax and enjoy, but she needs to stop being so critical of her own work.
We're all hypercritical, and I think it's that thing about, you know, the monkey on your back.
Yeah.
So we need to remember to find the joy in what we're doing.
And what would you say to Naomi, who says that she it's lovely, but does she have the confidence to try? Question mark, question mark, question mark.
Well, the question is, who's judging you but you? So it's
true.
It's really, I think you should, with a new kit, you should feel as happy as a monkey in a nut factory.
Well,
you know?
I mean, that would be happy.
So I always think that, it's like, am I going to feel like ecstatically happy when I open this? Am I going to feel like, of course, with something new, you're always going to think, oh, you know, am I doing this right? Am I not doing this right? But at the end of the day, as long as you're getting something that kind of looks like this, you're doing it right and you're building those skills.
Absolutely.
So, and I think, you know, as I say, you've got spare thread in your pack. If you're not confident going straight into this, even on the side of here or on a piece of cotton or calico, just draw a line with an end that you can practice with. It doesn't have to be as wide or as long as this piece.
Yeah.
You know, so just have a little, ease yourself into it. It's, as I say, but the important thing is who's judging you but you. Who are you doing it for?
If it gives you joy,
Yeah.
then that's the only thing, isn't it?
And I also think it's really interesting how hypercritical we are about what we do in crafting and when we're making things. Nobody gets into a car for the first time and thinks, well, I know how to drive. Let's do it. Do you know what I mean? And we're prepared to go through the process.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's true. It's so
you'd be worrying if you did get into the car and think that the first time.
Yeah.
Super confident.
That only happens in the movies, right?
You know.
Yeah.
But it's that thing where with the making process, you know, we have this self-loathing that comes out, and it's really difficult, and you kind of have to remember to beat that one back a bit.
Yeah.
You know, it's a process.
And also, we've said this before about not pointing out any mistakes to people because they don't know that it's a mistake. It's a design choice, and that's it.
Each piece is unique to you, and at the end of the day, nobody's going to see the original piece sitting next to your piece and go, oh, well, they look different. Do you know what I mean? And if they do, don't invite them to your house. You don't need those people in your life.
You do not need those people in your life. I'm with you.
Those people aren't your people.
No, they're not. They're not your tribe.
It's like send them home.
No.
Send them home to find somebody else to hang out with.
Yeah.
So it's. I just think, you know, we can be mean enough to ourselves without inviting people in that are going to do it to you.
I don't know if you saw in our downstairs toilet the large tapestry that I've got to hang.
Yes. Yeah.
See, my grandmother did that.
That's lovely.
And she died when I was 15.
Oh.
And I take so much joy in seeing that because I used to sit and stitch with her.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't know if every stitch is in the right place. No, my grandma probably, but I don't care. Yeah. I do not care. Yeah. I've got a bit of her.
Well, this is it, and I think it's that thing that whether you're stitching for you or whether you're stitching to eventually give it to somebody else or to send it somewhere, I just think it's that thing where you're stitching part of yourself and your personality into it, and you're spending time. And that's the thing, time is such an important commodity for all of us. We've all got a part in our normal lives. We don't have a lot of time. So in reality, there's nothing that says I love you or I care for you. You know, you're important to me more than the fact that you spent time on something. And, you know, you can't buy that.
I am really hoping that we will, after this, get more time.
Yeah, I hope so.
I hope that will be part of what comes out of it. And Anne says really that she really needs some mindfulness today. Thank you so much for keeping me absorbed this morning. Our absolute pleasure. I just love having Helen here. I think you're an absolute talent.
Thank you. I think it's that thing where we're all kind of in a bit of a funny. Everyone's having a funny week this week. You know, the end of last week and this week, everyone's having a funny week. Right, to finish this off, what we're going to do is I've got my 3 threads.
Oh, your top, your left, your right.
Point to the point, yeah.
Yep, point to the point,
and snip.
So you've just sort of staggered it as you go down?
Yep, taper it down. And then what we're going to do is our stitches are just getting smaller, obviously, because the shape is smaller.
Yep.
This is the point at which, even with the wool, even with the beeswax, you sometimes end up with some little bits sticking out. So you just need to keep observing. Your stitches will get a little bit close together. And you need to just keep observing where you've got bits. So I've got a little bit of an end of a thread sticking up there. So I'm just going to put a stitch over it to make it nice and smooth. And then to keep my point nice and sharp, I'm going to come up just very slightly past it. I'm going to stitch down to the body. So it feels very counterintuitive to do it like you're flattening it, but stitch down into the body of the soft string. And then I'm going to do a couple of stitches just over that. And that will just help to maintain that point.
Okay. Oh, Sue, she says, I saw a baby quilt I made a few years ago, which is loved by the family I made it for, and I caught myself checking it over for mistakes again. Why? It's loved. That's all that matters. It reminds me of a story of one of our viewers who was mortified to see a quilt that she'd made be thrown over the dog. She saw sort of photos of it being used as a cape on the dog. But for me, I was like, but that is surely like the ultimate. I mean, if my daughter shares anything with the animals, it's because she loves them.
But this is like, I saw an interesting, the person who wrote the Gruffalo.
Yes, Julia Donaldson.
Yeah, I used to get fan mail, obviously. And they said that, was it the Gruffalo? No, Where the Wild Things Are. Where the Wild Things Are.
Oh, I don't know who wrote it.
Good book.
I can't remember.
Good book. But and so they used to get fan mail, and his favourite piece of fan mail apparently was from a little boy's mother, and he'd enjoyed reading this book, having this book read to him so much, he'd done a picture. And so in response to this picture this little boy had sent to him, he'd sent a letter, obviously very small, just a small amount of writing, but because it was for this little boy, he'd done a little drawing of the animal from where the wild things are. And he'd got a letter back from the mom saying he loved it so much he ate it.
Please send another.
And I just thought, that is the highest compliment, isn't it? And I just think, you know, somebody else would be sitting there thinking I could put that on auction and get this amount of money for it. And, you know, he loved it so much, he ate it.
Amazing.
That, you know, that's the highest level of compliment, isn't it? I'm not suggesting you go home and eat these things, by the way. But you know, that it's that thing, you're so immersed in the enjoyment of it. It becomes a part of you. So,
he ate it.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep pinching. I'm working up to the top now, so I'm doing exactly what I did in the centre. Holding these in place. So kind of 1 centimetre out, stitch into the centre. So I know this has been a long demo on one subject, but it's
kind of an essential one, though,
you
isn't
don't
it?
see it normally. You know, you see it in class and you see the pictures, but actually a lot of people have kind of asked if we can show this stage.
There you go.
So so hopefully it's going to be really helpful in kind of ironing out some of the problems that people have.
Well, what we're hoping to do, Helen, is to build up all these different techniques, because you've been with us a couple of times now, and then hopefully you'll come back again, because we've got lots of things planned.
Exciting things.
Yeah. So then, and all of our shows, I don't know if people realise this, all of our shows are on YouTube. They're also, Josh has done this lovely catch-up page on our website as well. And so all of these things just work an absolute treat. You can always find them back again.
Exactly. And I think it's about that, using it like a library. You kind of think, okay, what am I doing? What do I want to be doing? You know, building that repertoire. You know, and that's all it is. It's building your skills. You're working towards something. And you find the things that you really enjoy. So you might try one technique and think, oh, actually, you know what, I haven't really enjoyed that. But then embroidery is such a wide field. There's so many techniques that you'll come across something else and you'll think, crikey, I've really enjoyed that.
That's the one.
Yeah, this has really appealed to me.
Did you ever find that something, one element that maybe you didn't feel quite so good at and didn't like, has actually become the thing that you now enjoy the most?
Actually, possibly not in embroidery, but in art itself. It's really funny because I have a twin brother. And when we were at school, we were in the same class for everything, and we were quite competitive. We've already talked about this competitiveness, but and I used to actually be naturally better at him than some of the maths and sciences and geography and things, and then he was more naturally gifted at art and things, and then because we wanted to beat each other, we started focusing on the other subjects. We kind of swapped over. We were very much level pegging actually at most things, but
so actually you are here today thanks to your brother's
just sibling competitiveness,
sibling rivalry. Amazing.
Yeah, mental, isn't it? So what we're going to do with this is I'm basically halving it. I mean, you can count it, but I'm not going to make you sit there and wait while I count these things. So we want to kind of split it. So we're getting towards that point where it bifurcates.
I love it. You get great words.
Splendid word, bifurcate.
Yeah, bifurcates. That's a really good word. You just don't hear that. Ali says, sorry she's late. She's been busy helping to felt the shed roof. I mean, I love that you have these talents, Ali.
I mean, yeah, diverse.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do exactly the same idea. I'm going to just split this half up into this bit. I'm going to hold that one out of the way by putting a stitch into that bit.
Is this quite unusual to get this split?
Yes.
Okay.
So you do sometimes see it, but to see the split kind of level pegging like this is quite unusual. But it's nice to be able to demonstrate it for you. So to show you that there isn't anything scary about it.
Yeah.
You can do what you like.
Yeah.
You know, let's go for it.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to again trim away with this. So again, lift it up.
Now,
Give this
let's see
little
if we
pinch
can
into
just, yeah, just. So have you lifted them all up?
No, I've got these ones down here and these ones up here, and then I've got about half of them.
Okay.
Point the scissors to the point of the shape, so point to point, snip, bring it back down, give a little pinch.
I think you are probably one of the only people that I wouldn't have minded having a lockdown haircut from.
My fiance won't let me cut his hair. He's been moaning non-stop.
Oh, come on. He doesn't know how lucky
Seriously,
he is.
he's been moaning non-stop about his hair. All I hear is like how long his hair is. And now I've been offering and he keeps saying, no, I don't think so. No. And now he's like, well, it's not worth having it done now because it's so close to the time when the barbers will be open now. So I'm like,
Okay.
try not to be insulted, to be honest.
It's fine.
So you carry on with your long hair. Anyway, so what we're going to do is, again, separate far left, far right and top centre. So that's those three. Trim these ones out.
So you leave them sticking up?
Yeah. Point to point. Bring these back over.
I'm glad we did demo this actually, because otherwise trying to explain it would be tricky.
Yeah. So, but I think hopefully now, because people can sit and watch this whilst they're doing it.
Yes, of course.
You know, and it makes it really straightforward. They can stop it, they can pause it, they can go and have a cup of tea and come back to it and fortify themselves, and then snip through the last three. Give a little pinch.
You see, it looks beautiful before we can start to get the gold on.
But you can see why this is so important, because the gold wouldn't sit in this shape
No.
if you hadn't got the foundation in. So again, I'm going to come very slightly past the point, down into the body of the soft string.
Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
Failing to prepare is preparing to fail.
Oh, yes. Oh, these and so many others.
Yes.
Yeah, Susan says, as you said earlier, get this right and then the end work looks really good.
Absolutely. So then you do exactly the same thing over on this side.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you'll end up with that lovely bifurcated stem.
Oh, I'm glad you got that in again.
I love it. If we could work on pantaloons being the next word.
Yeah. I have a feeling you could work that in somehow.
I will try.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, so that's the padding stage. So you just complete that in exactly the same way as we did, and that's your padding done. And then you can
Beautiful.
move on to your other stitching. So if I just bring this off here, because we were asking about the frames earlier.
Oh, yeah.
So if I just lift this up very slightly, if I just, there you go. So if you, can you see? That's the barrel clamp.
Oh, yeah.
So your table
Oh, it does look
has
like
to
a barrel.
be-
Really does.
Yeah. So it clips onto the table. You can adjust the height of it.
Elizabeth says it's lovely to see the real thing. I find stitches on paper look boring, but when you see the actual effect, it's stunning.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's that thing about really wanting to kind of share that with you. And sometimes it's hard to get pictures that really do justice to the embroideries. But, you know, with the medium of television now and the kind of YouTube videos and the online things that you can do, you can really kind of get across some of that detail. So
I find it hard with the photography for a lot of the fabrics.
yeah.
Getting the colour right.
Yes.
Really
kind of washes
hard.
some of out,
Yeah.
some out.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
just makes it a bit too dark.
Yes,
or,
exactly. Yeah. Right.
Okay, we need to angle this.
Yeah. So let's get this to the right height.
There you go.
And that looks promising. Let's go there. Lovely.
Perfect.
Right. So what I thought I'd do with this one is we're going to do some long and short. So
this is the Art
sometimes known
Deco
as
one.
silk shading. So yeah. So we've got long and short all the way down the stem. We've got it here in this big petal, and then we've got 3 petals here, and they go from light at the tip to dark at the base. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of an introduction into that. There's also long and short in the poppy leaves that we've just been looking at, so light, medium, dark in both leaves. So this is the same stitch technique.
Gorgeous.
So on the Miami Deco, I've done it in 2 strands. On the poppy it's a single strand, so it obviously takes longer to do.
Now, we will have just seen very briefly a flash of your elbow.
I apologise.
No, I mean it in an interesting way, because
Yes.
you were using your elbow.
Yes, so what we do is, if I do the medium colour,
It was it wasn't a, how dare you flash your elbow at us. Not like
so very
Victorian.
I think we are getting into pantaloon territory. Did you just shake your bloomers at me, darling? Yeah, it's it's an old measurement. So one of the earliest references we actually have to measurements of fabric and thread refers to Elizabeth of York, the Queen, and it was 1520s, 1530s, and she's purchasing an elm of linen for sampling. And elm is the traditional measurement that the merchants used for selling fabric and threads, and it's what we still now use because it's based on your body parts. So it's fingertip to elbow length, and then you'll cut through all of them, and then you'll strip out the amount of threads that you want to use.
Right.
And the reason for that is that it's the perfect length for your body. So you're not doing your Saturday Night Fever exercises, your gym aerobics at home. You know, as much as we're getting from this, it's not an aerobics class. So, and it means that the thread condition stays in good condition as well, because it's not, people don't like starting and stopping threads. We get a little bit lazy and we think, oh, I'll just make it a little bit longer. And, you know, in a class, you can end up poking your neighbour in the eye, or, you know,
Not
like
great.
long, like expanse of thread, and it tangles, it gets really kind of ratty looking, the sheen comes off it, so it's not as fresh looking.
Yeah.
So you're not actually helping yourself. So by starting and stopping, it's much easier to maintain the condition, to keep it running smoothly, to not have it knotting. It's much nicer all round.
Okay.
So an elm, or so fingertip to elbow
elm.
Elm. So it's from the period where we weren't really that we weren't able to read and write that well. We weren't that literate. So we basically have multiple spellings for it. So the most common one that you refer to is E-L-N-E.
Okay.
So elm. But anything phonetically that sounds along that line is how it's been spelt over time.
I wonder if that's where the sewing machine name comes from.
Elna. Oh, maybe.
I always wondered.
Maybe.
Who knows? Who knows?
Right. So what
Right.
I'm going to do is I'm going to put a double strand into the needle, and
So these are stranded threads, and you just
they're
take...
stranded threads. I've
taken
taken
two.
2 strands out, and then I'm popping it into the needle so that we can get going. And then what we're going to do is we can start and stop. I've drawn the angle lines into the shape so that you know where we're kind of aiming at direction-wise.
So you get all of that printed on...
Yes, yep.
All good to go. Excellent.
All good to go, good to rock and roll. So we want about a third of the shape to be light, about a third to be medium, and a third to be dark pink. So what I want to do is to try and get a nice smooth sharp edge, and to slightly raise the level of the embroidery above the fabric, I'm going to do a split stitch around the edge first, and you're going to go very slightly to the outside of the printed line so that you end up covering it. You put a stitch in, and then you come up underneath and split at the halfway point. So that is split stitch, does what it says on the tin.
Oh, okay.
The reason why we use split stitch is because it's the most sturdy stitch, because it's attached to the fabric in 3 places: where you've come up, where you've gone down, and where you've split back through it.
Oh, yeah, clever.
So it doesn't rock about. If you go too long with these stitches, they're not going to do the job that they're intended for, because they dip as you work against it with the needle. So my stitches are about 2 to 3 millimeters. So come to the point, go down, come up away from it, go down to the shared point, and then change direction in your new direction.
Cool. Oh, thanks, Elizabeth. She says that the camera is fab.
It is, yeah. Picks up lots of detail. It's very good.
It was the most important thing when I set out was getting the right cameras.
Absolutely.
And Lady Luck and Fate were all smiling on me. Thank goodness.
That's it. So I'm going to bring this one up. Ready to go.
So do you just do that round the tip bit that
Well,
there's
what we're
going to
going
have
to
that
do
colour in?
is I'm going to split stitch the whole thing, but I'm going to do it in the appropriate colour to what I'm going to work. So the top end, the top third is light, light pink. So that's in light.
Yes.
Then I'll use the medium for the
Yeah.
medium section and the dark for the dark.
It gives a beautiful ombre, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it? It kind of really feeds down.
A bit like my hair colour. I mean, we keep coming back to food and hair colour. That's what's going on at the moment.
This is the main topic for everybody right now.
Do you know what? It's got cold. I'm just going to turn the heat. The dog's shivering down here.
Oh.
We're not laughing.
See, I'm dressed for...
You're dressed for Scotland.
I'm dressed for a Highland winter.
You are.
This is where I'm at.
I'm just going to pop the heating on for Arthur. There you go. So if you hear a bit of buzzing, it's for the dog.
It's my brain ticking. So what I'm going to do is, I've started that thread in the middle because we know we're going to cover it.
Do you think that you were meant to live in Scotland? I know that you love it up there. Did you just accidentally slip and end up in Birmingham?
Well, my parents are both Scots and they met in Birmingham.
Oh, okay. So there is Scottish
through
heritage there.
athletics.
Through athletics.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they both were involved with Birchfield Harriers, the athletics club, and
so there's the competition bit coming in again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one
you
of
didn't stand a chance.
Yeah. So one of my the day after my dad travelled down from Inverness, he started work on the 2nd of January, and it was a club night at Birchfield. So he went and got chatting because he was a very kind of affable, genial man. He used to have a lot of chat, and so he was chatting the one night, and one of my uncles came over and went, Dad's a jock, you come home for tea. so because they used to have a big training group that used to run from my nan's house,
Right.
and so he started running with them, with that group, and yeah, my mum was part of a big family, eldest of 6, and my dad was as well, and so it all felt very familiar, and that's how they met. So so it's a lovely link, and yeah, so that's kind of how we ended up the way that we are in Birmingham. So, but I love it. I love it. I get the best of both worlds because there's so many things that I love about the Midlands and about Birmingham particularly, and you know, I love the people. But yeah, and then I go to Scotland, and as I say, culturally it's very familiar. So being raised in a Scottish household, you kind of just get it feels like your bones settle. You just kind of, you're in the right place. So it's yeah, I'm lucky to feel at home in both places. So we've got a lot of Scottish viewers. And we realised this last week when we had Alistair on yes.
Monday.
Yeah.
And it's really lovely.
Yeah, I'm fortunate to be able to have a job that takes me all over, and it's through choice that I spend a lot of time in Scotland. It's, you know, I enjoy working there as well, so it's a privilege to be able to go, and there's such a rich textile history, creative and making history in Scotland as well, generally, but their appreciation of textiles is so good. So yeah, it's just lovely to be able to do that. Right, so you can see I'm just working around, almost there. Bear with me.
That's all right. In the meantime, Amanda's put Elm in a search engine and first got Elmer Fudd. I don't think it was based on him.
Kill the Webbit. It's
the length of his beard.
Having that Wagnerian moment where. Do you remember that one? I can't even remember what it's called, but there's one particular, I don't know why it stayed with me, there's one particular Bugs Bunny where they have this, Bugsy's dressed up like one of the Valkyries.
Yeah, I saw that one, and I watched
I
quite
don't
a
know
lot.
why it's here.
It's there.
It's just crept
It's
forward.
Going, woo, pick me,
yeah.
pick me.
And Elmer's singing "Kill the Rabbit" to, or "Kill the Wabbit" to the Valkyrie song.
Amazing. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
She then got a hotel in West Beach and German spreaders. So, yeah.
Do I want to know what a German spreader is?
I don't know. I don't know what that is. Let's not go there.
I don't want to put that into my search engine, to be honest.
You see what's happened?
If you're already there, is it Amanda? If you're already there, Amanda, please let us know.
Yeah. But only if it's.
And I'm really sorry if that's messing up your reputable search history.
We don't know what it is.
Could be anything, couldn't it?
Could be. Could be.
Right.
Just maybe don't search it on your work's computer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, could you explain this when the IT department gets you on the way out? Can you? Can we just have a word with you?
Just a quick word.
Yeah. Right. So
you
what?
You can already see it actually. I mean,
yeah.
just. Well, it would help if. I mean, I can. You can. Now let's actually
no,
make it so that everyone can.
No, everybody. Welcome to the wonderful world of stitching. Yeah, so you can see this indicates where you're going to colour change. So we've used the appropriate colour. And then I'm going to use those threads. And coming up in the central line, I'm going just past the point, down on the outside of the split stitch. The split stitch has a function, as I say, so we're going to...
so you work within it? Or
we're going to cover it. So I'm taking my needle against it and straight down. On the outside, so if that's
give a slightly raised effect as well,
yeah,
then.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
So if that's my split stitch, I've come up in the shape and I'm taking my needle against the outside of it and straight down. And what I'm going to do is, if you angle your needle, you'll end up with a little nibbly edge.
Right.
It's a good technical phrase there.
I do not want a nibbly edge.
You don't want a nibbly edge because you're never going to angle it the same rate. So basically, it means that you can control that. So you'll get a nicer finish. So
but if
what
you go perpendicular each time, you're all good.
Yeah, so just against it and straight down, it acts as that barrier. And so what I'm going to do is I'm using my guidelines to put in some stitches. Now my stitches are a pretty similar length at the moment. And basically I've set them up, so I've set my angles up. And now what I want to do is obviously I want to come up in the shape and go down over the outside edge, covering that split stitch edge, and that is going to define where the edge, this end of the stitch is. But on this end, I want to make it quite irregular with the heights of the stitch, because that's what makes it look like it's not regimented and not if you've got a strip where that line finishes in a line, then you'll end up with that showing through in the next layer. So by making it more random at this edge, it will make it easier to have a smooth finish.
So it's blending it.
Yeah, so some will be slightly longer, some will be slightly shorter. It doesn't have to be a massive variation, but you just want to entirely cover that fabric, varying the lengths very slightly.
Oh, it's so pretty. It looks incredible on that black.
It's really stark, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think we often think of silk shading as real subtlety, and I think just by throwing in that really dense background, it's just really throws it forward and is quite bold. But it also really highlights if you've got any gaps. So if you've got any gaps in your stitching, you'll really clearly see it's shining through. So
Elizabeth says, can you just show that angle, the angle that you mean when you're saying going in at an angle?
Yeah. So I've come up and I'm taking my needle against the outside of the split stitch and then going straight down. So I'm not angling my needle at all, it's just straight up and down.
Right, okay.
Okay?
So the answer is yes, Elizabeth, we can.
The aim to please. So each stitch should have its own space to sit in. They're not really overlapping or anything like that. So you just find the space, because you don't want to bulk up.
Right.
You want to try and pull the stitches to quite an even tension. if some are looser than others, then they'll sit higher and you won't get that lovely even finish. So just pull till it resists and then have done with it. I'm just going to pull this out of the way and I'm going to start another thread. Normally I'd finish that thread off.
So how do you start and finish these things off?
I'm just saving time by doing that. Normally I'd finish the thread off and it would be 2 tiny stitches on an area, on a line that I know I'm going to cover up, or in an area that I know I'm going to cover up. So for example, we could use that petal just further down.
Mm-hmm.
That
just
I know
on a
I'm
bit
going
you haven't
to...
got to yet.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, I just don't want to... I could spend time doing it, but it's going to become boring for people, I think. So, just speeding things up. So, again, starting it, you'd normally start with the knot and 2 stitches. For the sake of speed, I'm just going to pop the knot on the back. I am naughty.
Ooh.
So, that is not normally how I'd start, but just for the sake of getting on with the demo. And
well, whilst you are demoing, Naomi has been research. This is Naomi who was wondering if she was confident enough to do it.
Yeah.
Has now been researching hoops and stands.
Oh, bless you. Good stuff.
So she said, are there any to avoid? Is the clamp better than a stand that sits on the table?
I really prefer one with a dowel than a clamp. And the table clamp is fine if you're happy to work it on your table, or if you have a surface that you're happy to sit at, because obviously you need to be by that surface.
Yeah.
But you can put a little bit of felt underneath it if you want to protect your dining table, for example. I've got another type, just bear with me, which the other type is the seat frame. I don't need it today, I just carry it with me everywhere.
Yeah. You should be so lucky being allowed to sit down on a show. Come on.
So, I'm not going to brain you, Natasha, I promise. It's just the quickest way. It's like a football rattle.
Yeah, I was expecting a noise.
Yeah. Disappointing that it doesn't make a rattle, doesn't it? But basically that can also be used to put the dowel in. And you can get different sized hoops. So you can get kind of 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch hoops. So you can decide what's most appropriate for you, for what size you might want to work in, and you can kind of change the height. And that then just sits underneath the leg. So if you're sitting in your armchair or your dining chair or whatever chair you're using at home, you pop that under your inner leg, and then it's just sitting there fully supported for you, ready to go. So I take this type, trains, planes, automobiles.
Yeah.
But yeah, so...
I bought my mum one that didn't go under one leg, it went sort of in the middle.
Yes.
So that you didn't find that you leant over to one side. I think it was meant to be better if you had like bad back or anything.
Yeah, I use this one, which I put it under my inner leg, so it's in the middle.
Right.
If you put it under your outer leg, so if you're wearing skirts a lot, for example, if you put it under your outer leg, if you're spending a whole day stitching, if you put it under the right leg for the morning and then the left leg for the afternoon, so that you're not
you're even up,
twisted.
Yeah.
So but yeah, so I mean there's all sorts. There's one which has a little stand that stands on the table as well, but again that relies on you having a table that you want to sit at for a stretch of time.
Yes.
I find the seat frame quite versatile. I use the barrel clamp for demonstrating because it's to stand for programs. So so that's why I've got that one here. Does that help?
Yes. Elizabeth, I will see what I can do. She wants to know if we can sell those. We'll track them down. Right.
So I've put my first layer in, and what I've done is the left side and the right side are pretty much the same. You know, it's a symmetrical piece. So people get to the edge and they want to put crazy angles in. So they'll panic and go all over the place. So what we're doing is we're trying to work towards the growing point. So if you look at the point of the base point of the petal where it's grown out of the flower, that's where you're aiming at with your angle. Okay, so always you're working towards the growing point with these natural things. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to split a stitch anywhere along the length of that stitch and travel forward. And what I want to do is I want to keep my stitches similar lengths, but because I'm varying the heights at which I'm coming up.
Oh, so it'll vary. Yeah.
So long and short is a misnomer, which we call this technique long and short or silk shading. It's a misnomer to call it long and short, really. It should be long and longer, but it sounds ridiculous. It's a bit like Dumb and Dumber, isn't it? So you just want to create a lovely staggered effect.
Now June says that she got that seat hoop thingy previously recommended by you.
Yep.
And she says she stitches on the sofa and it's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I love them. They're very comfortable. I've been using mine for years. So I think, you know, I know you can get them with the clamp and everything, but so you can use some of the hoops that you might already have at home. But I find that the clamps drop. So you'll be stitching and then suddenly it's like, whoop, and it's like, oh, right, okay, you've got to keep it kind of like stitching and you're kind of like following it downwards.
Yeah.
So, but it's personal preference, but yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on doing the one half of this so that you can kind of see how it develops. So you can see I'm taking it further down, splitting stitches, travelling forward, and you put in a little bit more of the colour than you think, because we're going to bite back. Obviously when you put your next row in, you're going to bite back into this stitch a little bit, so you'll lose some.
Oh, okay.
So
don't be afraid, don't look at it and think, oh no, I've gone over.
No, exactly. As long as you can get through your 3 colours, you'll be okay. So I'm going to park this one out of the way. I'll bring my medium into play. The other name for this was needle painting, so it's a bit, it is a bit like that. So so what I want to do is I want to blend this colour in a little bit. So I've left a little space. Now I'm filling that with my stitch to just ease the colours together.
Is there a type of embroidery you have yet to try or master?
I'm sure there's plenty. I mean, I've been recently doing pattern darning, like Norwegian pattern darning, which is something the Vikings used to do.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really interesting type of pattern darning stitches. So I went to Norway last year to work with the new super museum that they're opening, and whilst I was there I was looking at Viking knitting, and
obviously
I don't knit. One obsession is enough. And so I bought a book on that and the tool for my mother.
So she can become obsessed.
She knits, so I thought, you know, this is going to be good for her. She can get on with that.
She can do some.
She likes history as well, so I thought, oh, she'll like that.
Yeah.
So so I bought that for her, and then I was looking at Smoig examples and things, and different regional types of stitches, and just found this technique that I thought, that looks really interesting. So I've been playing with that. But yeah, I mean, it's just an adventure, isn't it? I mean, it's just an adventure in stitch. I'm never going to know everything.
No.
You're never going to have seen anything. And then the combinations of threads and fabrics and techniques multiplies out what you can do again. So I love the fact that it's a horizon line I'm never going to reach.
So will you bring that new technique into something?
Yes, I'm doing needle cases with that at the moment.
Are they the ones that...
Yes.
That we might see.
Yes, indeed. So yeah, so kind of a choice of 2 pattern variations with that. So, but yeah, that's the thing I love about it though. It keeps you on your toes. You know, there's always something. And I always think that when people say, "Oh, embroidery's not for me," it's like you haven't seen everything yet.
Yeah.
Don't discount it. You know,
that's a lot to say. It's not for you. It's like saying, "Oh, travel's not for me."
But it's a bit like saying I don't like food. Do you know what I mean? It's like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of broccoli, but you know, I really like sweet corn. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
there you go.
You find the thing, don't you? It's.
My daughter would dispute the broccoli statement, but
each
you know.
to their own. Yeah. Whatever floats your boat. That's what I say.
She loves a bit of broccoli.
Yeah. You find your thing and stick to it. So you can see I'm just working down, and again, because the height at which you're coming up is really irregular. The more irregular you can make it, the more that blending point looks natural.
Yeah, nice.
With the colour, it really blends together.
Elizabeth would like to know: did you order a jumper when you gave your mum the the Viking knitting instead of true daughter style?
My mum really enjoys knitting for small people, like little babies and toddlers. So she gets very excited when anybody's having a baby, because she wants to knit them something because it's done quickly. She enjoys it, but not for too
within
long.
a short attention span.
Not for too long. So basically, No, I mean, to be fair, my mum is knitting me a jumper. She started it last autumn, I think, and I'm expecting it to maybe be ready for maybe this winter.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. You don't want to rush these things. It'll be
No,
worth the
exactly, exactly.
My mum knitted me a jumper once. She just kept going and kept going, and it just became this jumper dress. I loved it. I used to hide in it all winter. Pair of leggings and that.
Well, this is it, actually. I've got my granny, she knitted as well as did dressmaking, and she I've still got some amazing Aran high-necked woolen cardigans with zips up, and they've got like double height collars.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got one in cream and one in navy blue and a black one, and they're I still wear them, and they're really high. And she made them when I was an apprentice at the Royal School, because we were at Hampton Court Palace and it was cold.
Yeah.
It was breezy.
Yeah.
And we used to sometimes go down during break time and warm our hands by the Tudor fire in the great kitchens. It was like something out of a Dickens novel. But it was that thing where, you know, I feel the cold anyway. So if you're in an old building like that, it was particularly drafty. So my nan started knitting. She was like, right. So she made these amazing Aran cardigans with a zip up the front, and then it had got this double height. So if you had it pulled up, you'd look as though you were in disguise. But you could fold it over there and it would stand on its own.
Oh, nice. So there was no need for a scarf to get in
the
way.
No, exactly. So
she's genius.
I know.
Absolute genius.
So, yeah. So now I'm going to swap into the shade 3, so the darker colour.
Now, June said, do you bind your hoop? Did we talk about that earlier?
Yeah, so we did talk about this.
Yeah.
Normally I would, yes. So please ignore these unbound hoops. These are new ones. So, yeah, it helps to hold the tension. It stops the fabric from bruising as much. And we did talk earlier, so if you want to rewind, I did explain a good way of doing it that makes it
with your
hold
sticky tape?
Yeah, the double-sided sticky tape. Outside of the outside frame, inside of the inside frame. Never the bits that rub in between.
No.
So, because you don't want the stickiness coming off into your fabric.
Perfect. Now, all of these kits that Helen has been using today are on the website, including your book. Now, talk to us about your book.
Yeah, so my book, I was absolutely delighted when the Royal School of Needlework asked me if I would write their beginner's guide to gold work. So
that's quite an accolade, isn't it? Really?
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, I was absolutely chuffed to be asked to do a book, and then the gold work. I really love gold work. I love the texture and the shine of it, and I just think it's a really emotive, kind of magical thing, and it's something that the RSN's been known for a very long time. So, for example, the coronation robes that the monarch wears on the coronation day, they embroidered those.
Do they?
So the queens had wheat sheaves and kind of corns. Head of corn means peace and prosperity, and it's a really old technique, and it just kind of really captured my imagination, and it's so variable what you can do with it. And so they asked me to write this book for them as a beginner's guide, so it's literally a step-by-step of people to introduce people to. There's lots of books out there that on metal thread work and really amazing projects. This is not a project book. There's pictures of things in there, but
so
this
is a reference book
to take you through how to do the padding, what the metal is, how to do you know, the couching, how to tie that back, how to, you know, so all the different techniques. So the idea is it's a really good reminder book for people who have maybe taught themselves or kind of been taught elsewhere and kind of like want to come back to something as a reference. Because the way that we teach, it's the most effective way to repetitively get a good result.
Okay.
So there are other ways of doing it, but this is the way that we've developed over time, which is what we work and how we teach and how we create. And so it's that, and so the idea is it could be that you've never done it before, it could be that you've done it for years but you want a reminder or to just kind of touch base with those techniques, and that's what it is. So, and
it's spiral bound as well, so you can have it laid next to you. That's really important.
Well, it is, because I always think of that episode of Friends where she starts making cottage pie and she ends up making trifle. Because her kind of recipe books flipped halfway through. So yeah, it stays. It's meat good, custard good. It's that thing where, because it's got the spiral binding, it stays flat, it stays open at your chosen page. So yeah, and it's A5 size, so it's a really handy
portable
thing.
too.
Yes, exactly. It's hard back, but spiral bound, and And as I say, it's just, the idea is it's a guide to take you through those things step by step and to introduce you. As I say, people find metal thread work a bit intimidating because of the different types of thread, and they don't know what to use each thread for.
Yeah.
So they get into a bit of a pickle.
Yeah.
So this is to really kind of demystify what those things are. So
Perfect.
yeah. So you can see I've worked all the way down.
It's looking lovely, by the way.
Thank you very much. It is not my first rodeo.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know why I turned into an Elizabethan there.
I don't
know. Yes.
Did they have rodeos?
Well, I'd like to think so.
And if not, why not?
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things that you come all the way down and you can see I've shaded all the way through.
Yeah.
And you just want to make sure that there's no gaps, you know. So as I say, this black fabric will really showcase if there's any spaces that you've missed, so you'll really clearly see that. So it's a really good learning curve for you to make sure that you're getting your coverage correct.
Yeah.
But yes, so that's an introduction to the long and short technique.
Perfect.
So, shall I just go quickly through what's in the kits? And
yes, please, because we need to know. I know that you are a stickler for full kits and top quality kits. Yeah. So this is something that you are going to end up making.
Yes.
A piece to last.
Yeah,
to be handed down.
So let's start with the bows and sprigs. So what we're going to do is, I'm just going to bring this little baby in here. So we've got the brochure, so full set of instructions there. Yeah,
we looked at the instructions, didn't we?
So that's that.
That's that, yeah.
And then you have the linen twill, all fully marked up, and your needles. So we're using chenille needles for this.
No, see, I've tried to use transfer stuff.
Yes.
Awful experience.
Yes.
So I'm really pleased that that's already on there. I'm going to be honest.
I think that the fewer barriers to you starting, the better.
True.
So because this is not the exciting bit is the stitching and going on with it. So to me, it would put me off to have to do a lot of prep work. So you've got to know yourself. So so for me, I'm like, what would I want? Yes. And that's why it's all good to go. So
and a couple of needles stuck in the end.
You've got your chenille needles. Yes, please don't prod yourself, starting by bleeding on the project. There may be blood, sweat and tears, but not at the start.
It's okay because I do sell a stain remover. It's fine.
Oh, there you go. Good to go. But so that's in with that as well. And then you've got all of your threads. So it's all...
Whoa!
It's like a little switch up. Yes, yeah.
Look at that and look at the tone of them. Oh, so they are gorgeous. Do you want to go close on those?
Yeah.
Come on, I feel like we need to.
Shall I?
Yeah. Did you have to pick those colours?
Yes.
Oh.
So that's one of the things I love. It's like it is like being a kid in a sweet shop. There's so many threads, so many fabrics, so many amazing things to choose from, and each project is different. You can get to explore different things, but this combination of this type of thread, this crewel wool with linen twill, we've been using it for centuries, and I do think there's if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
No, it's beautiful.
They work so beautifully together.
Really beautiful.
So,
yeah.
So that's the first kit. That's bows and sprigs.
Excellent.
So, and you've got plenty of thread there.
There's
if you
a
want to
lot
practice.
in there.
Yeah. So that's that, my darlings.
Fabulous.
And then let's move on to the next one.
And these are all on the website, natashamakes.com.
Yeah. And then on the poppy kit, which was that one.
These threads, spin it around a little bit. There we go. There.
No, other way.
This way. Yeah, there we go.
I don't know my left from my right.
No, it's not. It's the opposite way to how you think it's going to be.
So, yeah. So these threads.
Love that. Yep.
So what we're going to do? You've got beeswax. You've got.
It's a nice little thing of beeswax, isn't
it? Yeah. So it's a nice solid little bit. You've got your needles in your fabric. You've got that all printed up and ready to go. Do you want to show that? There we go. Do you want to show that close? Yep. Yes, I'm going slowly. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, and your direction lines, as I say, on your leaves for your long and short.
Nice.
So So you get a good size of that. Let me just take the needle out so that I can open it out for you. So nice size.
That's a sizable chunk, isn't it? I guess it can then be made into a cushion if you wanted.
It means that some people might have a slightly bigger hoop at home. You know, if they've got a 10-inch hoop, this will fit into. If you can choose what you want to do with it. So if you have a very tiny piddly little bit of fabric, it limits what you can do. So so I don't like to limit people. So the world is your oyster with that.
Yeah, perfect.
So that's a nice size fabric. And you also have the calico, which is the backing, just to give a bit of security to this soft fabric. That's the same size.
So do you stitch through both?
Yes. So if I just flip mine over a second, can you see the calicos on the back?
That's very neat. Look at that.
So, but yeah, so it's just to give that bit of security, particularly with the couching threads. You take some of those thread ends through to the back of the fabric.
Yeah.
So just having that extra layer of fabric just makes it a little bit more sturdy.
Okay.
To put up with that treatment.
Yeah.
We've got a length of buttonhole thread. Now, when you're in your pack, do not think that's rubbish. It's just a piece of buttonhole thread. It's a nice sturdy thread in which we will be doing and you've got a tapestry needle, in which we will be using this to do our tying back. Okay, so it's just, it looks like rubbish, it's not, it's useful.
Okay.
So just for reference. So you use that with your tapestry needle to tie back the ends. You'll have your craft felt. This will be printed on with your bit as I've just shown you so that we can do our padding. We've got the machine thread.
There's a lot in here.
Yes, yeah. We've got the 3 shades of red, the 3 shades of green for the leaves, and the 2 shades of blue that go into the central.
Bring that back and let's have a look at that. Up a bit. Yeah. Oh, nice. So the gloss and the sheen on that is lovely.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing about using short lengths as well. So it is a lovely shiny thread. It is really manageable. It works well. But the fingertip to elbow length will mean that condition is maintained and that sheen and gloss on the thread that's naturally there isn't eroded by overuse, friction by going through the fabric too many times, or just... And, you know, not casting aspersions on people's hygiene, but the oils off your hands that everybody has, just normally.
Everybody has them. Yeah.
So that will take the sheen off the fabrics, off the threads. So you get your soft string, 5 meters of that. You get your 5 grams of bright check that we do our chips with. Lovely twinkly thread.
Hang on, twinkle that on a close up. Yeah.
If I just take this out.
Elizabeth would like to know if you would recommend removing blood with spit.
So traditionally that is how we remove it. So what I would say is whatever you're doing, always make sure you can get removers to do that, or you can use saliva. If it's your saliva and your blood, it will work. But what I would suggest is that before you go straight into the main event, make sure that you test out on the corner of your fabric, because having a little mark that you could cover up, if you've just got a little bit of blood on something, you could maybe cover it up if it's not going to come out. But if you don't want a big spitty mark.
It's less attractive.
Do you know those people who don't have well-fitting teeth?
Yeah.
Who... I think the phrase is bedeweth when they talk. I think that was Charlie Weems' phrase. Charlie Weems gave me that. He bedeweth when he talks. Not Charlie Weems, he's very polite with his manners. But he introduced me to that phrase. But it's you don't want to do that on your embroidery, and you don't want a big spitty bit on your embroidery. So
maybe I'll get some more stain removers in then. Yeah, I'll do that. She's only asking for a friend. Stabbed myself this morning. Oh, bless you. Not a good way to start the day, but at least you've got it over and done with. Yeah, no, absolutely.
You've given.
She says it's just a bit
given your blood sacrifice.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. I would say possibly in the current climate, let's go stain remover.
Yes, absolutely, yes. It's when people, when you're teaching classes and people suck the ends on their threads and go, "Can you help me with this?"
No.
And these are adults.
These are adults.
So. Anyway,
yes, I can. I'm going to cut the end of it
off
again.
I generally kind of go, I'm just going to trim that off. Or I'll start the class with saying, don't put the threads in your mouths, because if you take a look at your neighbours, if you aren't prepared to give them a good sloppy kiss, by the time I've demonstrated on all of your frames, I'm going to have all your spit on my hands, and so are you.
Yeah.
And then you're putting things in your mouth. So, would you kiss any of these people? That's what I normally start by saying.
Amazing. I mean, it's a breaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It breaks people one way or another. Break a habit or break somebody's will to be there. So you're also going to get some Japanese or passing thread, which is lovely.
What passing thread?
Japanese. Yeah, so it's a couching thread. So basically, it's the one that we're going to use on the outside of the petals.
Oh,
so
yeah, let's have a look at that.
Yeah, so the petals are edged here in this lovely shiny smooth thread.
Yeah.
You can see that really catches the light there. So that's this thread. So it's you can use Japanese thread or passing thread. So you've got that in your kit. I believe it's 5 meters. So you'll have plenty to play with. And just stuffing that back in.
Yeah, no, beautiful.
Yeah.
Amanda feels slightly unwell at the kissing everyone in the room thought.
So it's the old dry boke in the corner. Like, what?
Well, at least you can now have everyone just sat in masks. That will stop them.
This is one of the advantages to this whole situation. People are going to have a reevaluated sense of what they want to spend their time on.
Yeah.
And the fact that nobody wants anybody else's saliva being passed about
Anywhere near them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you know those little plastic guards they've got in the chemist.
Yeah.
Like they've got little cardboard legs, and they're kind of like a film of something in between you. That's for those spitty people, that might be good.
Yeah. Or it'd just be like visiting in prison. You could just put them one side of.
I wouldn't know, Natasha.
Of sort of glass. And that's only from like movies. You know, in Paddington Bear, where they have one side of the glass.
So innocent from something quite dark.
Actually, I reined that back in.
It's like prison gang tattoos.
Yeah.
Is this why you've got long sleeves on today? You've got spiders' webs on your elbows and things.
And very thick makeup, so you can't see the teardrop
Camouflage. One lone tear. Cry
That's
baby.
the one.
Quite disturbing. Anyway, moving back
to a different way than I'd envisaged.
Yeah.
I was going Paddington Bear, but yeah.
So I'm glad. I'm glad. Let's get back to that.
Yeah.
Right, so we've got Pearl, which is the thread that we put round the edge of the chips, on the edge of the padding that we do, and also the on the edge of the leaves. And then so that's Pearl. I'll wrestle with that in a minute. That's going to get boring for you and very wrestly. And then we've got Rococo. So we've got medium Rococo.
You see, this is why we need your book, because to understand what all these different things are.
The good thing is everything's labelled in the kit.
Okay.
So everything's labelled and it tells you quite distinctly the Rococo goes on the outside of the leaf.
Okay.
And there's a photo
Okay.
of the leaf so that you know what you're doing.
What a leaf is. No, I like this. I think I could actually manage this.
Never assume. Never assume. That's
there may
what
not
I've
be
learned.
botanical whiz kids among us.
Yeah, well, you know, some of the city kids out there, like me being one of them. And then we've got 5 grams of smooth gold, which is the type that you put on your stem, which goes over the top of the padding. There you go.
Ah, nice.
So this is the lovely soft. You remember I said it was really soft and malleable, so you can see it's that's the one that goes over the top of the padding that we've just been doing.
You've got some top-notch stuff in here, don't you?
Yeah. So and then you've got your needles, obviously. So so that's and your instructions. So you've got a full instructions booklet,
which is like lifting part of your book.
Yes, basically, so that you know exactly what you're doing for each section and where and why. So it's the idea is that it should be fully comprehensive and you know what you're up to.
Okay.
So as I say, there's a lot of information.
There is a lot of information.
And step by steps there.
Wowzers.
So that's Poppy. Okay, so that's that one.
Bye-bye.
Okay. I feel like I should be wearing a feathered headdress.
Well, please do. I mean,
yeah.
Next time, I'll expect to see that.
Yeah. Just call me Lola.
She was
don't know
a
where that came
showgirl.
Yeah. So, Miami Deco,
Yep.
which is the last kit to talk about, which is this one. Hello. There you go.
Ah,
Ba-da-ba-ba.
beautiful, beautiful.
Okay, so you get the calico. So again, nice big piece of calico to back it, because we're doing some areas that are quite heavily stitched where you're doing your long and short.
Right, yeah,
So
yeah.
it just helps you from to maintain your tension on your fabric so it doesn't
Yeah.
pucker in.
Yeah.
And then you get your printed black fabric. So,
Ooh.
so all marked on.
Nice.
And your needles for that. And they're a nice size needle, they're an 8, because you're wanting to use double threads.
Right.
So they've got a good sized eye on them, so you're not going to be...
Do you always stitch onto taffeta with these sorts of things?
No, you can use anything you like, but basically taffeta, silk, linens, they're my preferences, just because I think they just respond so well. They're very sumptuous, expensive tastes. And basically they just feel very appropriate to the techniques, and they just set them off. They've got a lovely sheen or finish to them that sets off the work that you're doing, but you can literally use anything you like, and it's really up to you. But yeah, those are my preferences for kits. So that tends to be the kind of thing.
Look at all of these threads. Hang on, let's get that in the camera.
Yeah. So then you've got your lovely array of threads. Oh, here you go.
There we are.
So you've got your 3 shades of pink, your 3 shades of green, and your yellow.
Cool.
So and your full instructions. So again, you've got a full instruction booklet.
Oh.
Taking you all the way through. Oh, hang on, we've gone to that.
Well, you know.
So my shoulders are by my ears.
You get the idea.
Yes. So, look, I'm so comfortable. So
You could have just gone back a bit.
I know. Stop it. I've only had 2 cups of tea today.
Oh,
We're not
I'm
working that
sorry.
quickly.
I think everyone can probably hear my stomach rumbling.
Growling.
Yeah.
Growling at you by this stage. So yes, so that's the 3 kits. So hopefully we've got plenty of information got across. Are there any questions out there?
We've asked as we go.
Contented?
That's why I've been
Marvellous.
I've been monitoring. I've been school monitor as we go.
Good job. Kudos to you.
Well, thank you, firstly,
My
for bringing
pleasure.
us stunning kits.
My pleasure.
And for coming in and for sharing a wealth of knowledge, and what goes on in your head is always fun.
5% I'm sharing, yeah. With time, this will build and you'll start to go, whoa, wow, that 5% was good.
Let's rein it back to 5.
Yeah, exactly.
We just hit 11.
A lot.
My next question is the next show that we planned.
Yes.
Can we tell people what will be in that as a teaser?
Yes, I'm thinking that we're going to do a counted work needle case, and it will be that counted pattern darning that we were talking about today. So the idea is that there'll be 2 different pattern ways, so you can choose between one pattern way which will have an outer back and front that's matching and an inner that matches, and then there's a different pattern way which is entirely different, slightly simpler, so that you can decide what appeals to you. And then moving forward, we're going to do matching things so you can build up your set. So you'll have, a scissors keep, you'll have your needle keep, you'll have the tape measure cover, etc. So we can kind of have an etui set.
So we'll do the set that you can buy all in one go, or we'll break it down so that you can buy it bit by bit, and we'll demo bit by bit, because we'll do it over the course of a little while.
Yes.
Was the plan, wasn't it?
That is the plan.
So if that still stands, then that's what we're doing. Yay!
Hurrah! Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so very much.
Oh,
it's so lovely to see you.
Lovely to be back. As I say, it feels a bit weird doing everything by Bluetooth. You're like, hi, like,
yeah, it is a bit weird.
But it's all things we need to get used to. So it's hopefully we've got plenty of things to keep people out of trouble in lockdown, and moving into hobbies that they maybe hadn't thought of, or extending into different techniques that they kind of haven't played with before, building that confidence. So
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So Naomi, get your stand and pick your kit.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Helen. We will see you. Emma says, what an inspiring and fun show. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And Elizabeth said, what a lovely show. Thank you ever so much. Love watching you two together. It's a joy.
Oh,
Much love. Thank you very much. I will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Same time, same place. Yes. Lots and lots of love. And I will. Well, I won't see you. But thank you very much, everybody. I'll see everybody else tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.